You're watching Sunrise on KYMA News 11, where news comes first.
Welcome back. Now this morning, News 11 is diving deeper into the border crisis along the U.S. southern border, one of President Donald Trump's major focuses of his presidency. With the border rhetoric infiltrating our news headlines almost every day, it's easy to get lost in the mix of what's actually happening and what's not. News 11 followed Yuma Sector Border Patrol agents along our border to see how this crisis has changed over the years and how it's impacting them in this border reality check.
Yuma County, a quaint corner of Arizona, is in close proximity with the U.S.-Mexico border, and just one line divides the two.
It's almost cliche to say it this way, but they're going to go over, under, or through in order to get their product into the United States.
That's why News 11 set out to find out what's really happening in this border reality check.
Yep. So the demographics makes it even tougher for us to be out to do what we're supposed to do, which was border security.
Agent Justin Callinger, who has been a Border Patrol agent for 16 years, over 11 years in the Yuma sector, has truly seen a shift at the border.
You know, we talked about the demographics. Yeah, the big difference is when I was here in 2005, and all the agents were just, constantly getting barraged by these large groups of bonsais, and they were running from us. They wanted to get away. That's not the case anymore. These people will cross and they walk and find the first Border Patrol truck they can, and they give up.
In this U.S. Customs and Border Protection video from a decade ago, it shows just how easy it was for illegal immigrants.
That were doing whatever they wanted to do in order to cross illegally, in order to enter the country illegally. Now we're seeing family units, unaccompanied children.
So we took a trip to that very spot to check it out for ourselves.
We're here at the U.S.-Mexico border, where just beside me stands this 18-foot tall border wall, which just 10 years ago actually only stood about 6 to 8 feet tall. But this isn't the only new barrier at the San Luis port of entry. We are just half a mile from that. Behind me stands a secondary 18-foot wall, and beyond that is a 6-foot chain-link fence, all to curb illegal immigration.
I think a lot of people in the United States don't know what's really going on down here in the border. They can only make assumptions, or it's just what they hear.
Mario Campos, president of the local chapter of the National Border Patrol Council, says it's important residents really know what's going on.
We have to come out here and we have to tell people what's really going on, because if we don't, then we can't make a change.
So we looked at the trend of apprehensions at the border in Yuma. U.S. Customs and Border Protection stats show in 2005, there were over 138,000 apprehensions, the highest number the sector has ever seen. But those numbers dropped off in 2008. There were about 8,000 apprehensions. That number rose again in 2016 with 14,000 apprehensions. Those numbers went beyond that. For fiscal year 2018, Yuma sector made over 26,000 apprehensions. Agents say this creates a problem.
See, and what that creates is now false family units. So we've found over 400 cases of false family units within this fiscal year. But these smuggling organizations have utilized us for the last year in order to transport their people, these false families, these children, up into the different parts of America.
And it doesn't stop there. Agents say a decade ago, processing illegal immigrants would take about 8 hours per person.
But now, the fact that most of these people are other than Mexicans, from other countries other than Mexico, their time for processing is taking upwards of 72 hours per person. So this equates to a large amount of money that we now have to fund for this more of a humanitarian crisis that we're dealing with.
Agent Callinger told us in the Yuma sector they spent over $300,000 last year to provide items to these migrants like diapers or formula. Just this year, it's doubled. Campos says the agency needs 3 things.
In order to really stop this crisis, for lack of better words, is you have to have all 3 of those. You have to have a physical barrier. We have to have more agents, more resources, more technology, and we also have to have the legislature.
In Yuma, the agency has expanded from 350 agents a decade ago to a little more than 800 today, protecting 126 miles of linear border.
117 of it has a man-made structure.
The other 9 miles has a natural infrastructure.
So that has mountains or river.
And the next section of the border we visited, it doesn't have any barbed wire or steel plates.
In 2005, these barriers were designed to stop vehicles from coming into the U.S. from Mexico. But now the problem is just 10 years later, agents are dealing with an influx of pedestrians, and crossing is as easy as jumping over or even crawling under.
So when you're getting groups of 50, 60, they're just walking up and then going over or under it. And then they go right up to the canal bank where you saw the agents and turn themselves in.
Agents say these migrants are abusing the loopholes in the legislature.
Because they know that 20 days, no matter what, however that looks for them, they got 20 days from the day that they're apprehended, and then they can go into the country.
Basically found the weak spots to where they can continue coming into our country.
That's why they say there's a need for more infrastructure.
A wall is only a piece of a multifaceted solution.
But until that happens, Agent Callinger says he and thousands of others will put on their green uniform and wear it proudly.
They're here every single day, 365, working hard to make sure that our country is safe. We don't want their daily grind to be in what we're dealing with now. We want it out here guarding the borders and making the community safe.
Now, we've reported to you on News 11 the Department of Homeland Security waived environmental rights this month in order to build and replace several miles of border infrastructure in Yuma. CBP officials say there's a need for it as they expect 1 million arrests just this year. This all amid a citywide emergency declaration from Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols. But there's more to the story. For that, download our KYMA News 11 mobile app.